Hi there, and welcome to Grover Reads the News. Wherever you are, I hope you're safe and have shelter. In this apparently 10th polar vortex of the season, I'm wishing a warm and stable home for you, your neighbors, and every single person around the globe today and every day. Today is Saturday, February 15th, and I've got a news summary for you if you'd like to hear it. First up, we have updates on the US Executive Office. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency cut the jobs of nearly 10,000 workers on Friday, including half of the Department of the Center for Disease Control that are dubbed the, quote, disease detectives, unquote. These 2-year fellows are deployed in health departments across the country and inside the CDC, and often serve as the front line of public health workers. This comes as vaccine denier Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was confirmed by the Senate this week as the health secretary. 7 prosecutors in the Department of Justice have resigned after refusing to drop a case against New York City's Democratic Mayor Eric Adams, who is under investigation for corruption charges and has cozied up to Trump before and after his election. An 8th career prosecutor apparently agreed to sign the document to drop the case in order to spare colleagues from being fired by Acting Attorney General Emil Bovee, who is the former personal attorney to Donald Trump. This worker apparently did this after a team of career prosecutors were brought into a room and told to have someone sign the document to drop the charges in the next hour, the implication being, or else. Interim U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Danielle Sassoon, who The Guardian calls, quote, a Republican with conservative credentials, unquote, resigned on Thursday, accusing the Department of Justice of acceding to a, quote, quid pro quo agreement, dropping the case in order to ensure Adams' help with Trump's immigration agenda. Next is update on international news, including Russia, Ukraine, and the US, including the Gaza ceasefire. Israel released more than 300 Palestinian prisoners this week, and Hamas-backed militia released 3 Israeli hostages as the fragile Gaza ceasefire continues to hold for more than 3 weeks. Trump broke a 3-year freeze of Western leaders not speaking directly with Russia's Vladimir Putin by holding a 90-minute telephone conversation with Putin this week, after which he declared negotiations about Ukraine would begin immediately. Notably, this was declared without consulting the Ukrainian leader, Vladimir Zelensky, about the desire for or terms of negotiation. Relations between the United States and European nations have grown more tense in recent weeks. Secretary General Mark Rutte told the European Parliament last month that Europeans must come up with more cash for their own military, saying, if you don't do it, get your Russian language courses or go to New Zealand, unquote. This week, J.D. Vance spoke to European leaders at a European security conference, and instead of addressing the 2 main topics that were the focus of the conference, how to end Russia's war on Ukraine without giving in to Russia, or how to expand EU security, Vance essentially spent 20 minutes telling European leaders that they suppress free speech and ought to accommodate the nationalist, anti-migration, populist voices in Europe. Then he met with the leader of the far-right anti-migrant party that downplays the harms of the Nazi regime, Alice Weidel, who's a white lesbian investment banker partnered with a Sri Lankan filmmaker. German leaders are crying election interference from Vance and Musk's recent engagement with the Alternative for Germany party. The party is vying for record wins in Germany's elections next month after being considered taboo by members on the left and right of Germany's mainstream political establishment for decades. Finally, I have an update about Japanese food security. The Guardian reports that Japan has released 200,000 tons of emergency rice stockpiles as rice prices rose more than 50% in recent months. Japan's government had previously dipped into its rice reserves only in the aftermath of natural disasters or crop failures. Rising prices are associated with smaller than usual crop because of rising temperatures and an increase of tourist consumption of rice over the last year. Finally, we have nature news about the Earth's core. The Earth's inner molten core is changing direction and shape. In 2010, scientists registered that the inner core of the Earth spun faster than the Earth itself. But recently, after earthquakes strong enough to allow waves to reach the Earth's inner core, scientists have registered the solid inner core's spin has slowed. It's now revolving backwards relative to the rest of the planet, reports Mindy Weisberger of CNN. At the boundary where the solid inner core meets the liquid of the outer core, the sphere's surface might be more malleable than it is at deeper levels. Quote, "It's almost science fiction to visualize what's happening on the surface of the inner core," said Dr. John Vidali, co-author of the study. "It is a place that's so different from our day-to-day lives, with different timescales, different materials, and incredible forces. And yet we can get down there and learn more about it just by sifting through some of the latest observations." Thanks for joining me to hear the news today. Just a reminder that this offering is available in its full form as a podcast wherever you listen, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or it's also available in digest form via Substack at groverreadsthenews.substack.com. There, when you sign up, you'll get an email every time a new episode is released. When you become a paid subscriber, you help make it possible for me to make this offering now and into the future. Thanks to those paid subscribers who are already supporting the show. I see you and I appreciate you. I also appreciate anyone who sends this wee podcast or newsletter to their friend. The numbers of listeners are slowly growing, and it truly makes me feel connected to so many of you out there, and I appreciate it. The news can be hard to face, but we don't have to do it alone. We can do it together. I hope you have a moment of good connection this weekend. Stay warm out there, and I'll be back with you next week. Until then, be well.